Need to stop that, man.
Hey, we live. We're live.
Live. Okay, folks, we're live. Hey, we're live. I'm sorry for the delay. It's a manic Monday. Folks, live. Welcome to the TD Report. We're live now, and we got my man. Folks, be careful now. Today is a day of mourning. My man Jody has come from. I just can't tell you what happened watching the Cleveland Browns blow a 13-point lead with a minute and 22 left to the New York Football Jets, which with old Flacco as quarterback. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. To blow that lead like that and have blown coverages for a team that he picked to go to the Super Bowl. Jody, tell us what's up, man. How you feeling?
First and foremost, it got me drinking a little bit. So let me take a sip.
That pretty bad, dude. I didn't even see you drinking when the drinks were free.
Right.
Shit.
I had to go to I got a nice little stash at the crib. But no, it's a silver lining to what happened. The only thing that made me feel okay is that everybody else in the division lost. But Joe Woods has to be in question, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you look to last week against Carolina, he gave up a long touchdown pass to Robbie Anderson over the top. So we need to have some questions on the safety Grant Dilbert. This is his first year as a starter. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, gentlemen, how's it going? We ready to go?
Yeah.
What are we talking? Which game are you talking there, Jody?
Browns.
Let's go. Let's go.
So basically, Joe Woods had been calling defenses that doesn't make sense. I mean, elementary, high school, or college coach could have called a defense knowing that we're up by 13 points. They had one timeout, put two safeties deeper than everybody, and let them catch the ball underneath. And if they chew the clock up, tackle them in bounds, make them use the clock, right? I mean, Joe Woods, he's been doing this for several years. They keep saying that Cleveland has a top 5 defense, but that's smoke and mirrors. I'm a Browns fan, and I've seen their third down defense is horrendous. I mean, we've seen Joe Flacco complete several third and plus situations that kept drives alive. Really, the Browns should have beat them because they should have at least beat them like 42-14. I'm gonna be honest with you. The way that things were going. Brissett played an absolutely amazing game. He was 22 for 26. He had a late interception, but we cannot put that pressure on a guy that was not even supposed to be in that situation. I think he played pretty solid at quarterback, but Myles Garrett can't do everything, and we have to understand that when Clowney went out, it was so much of a significant of an injury that they kept running plays on that side where Clowney was playing an absolutely amazing game.
That's good coaching. We got to
get plays. We got to get plays. Right. And my thing is we rush up the field. You got Myles Garrett and you got Clowney, two guys that's going to rush up the field. I'm not saying I'm a head coach, but why not blitz up the middle and make it uncomfortable for Joe Flacco? You know he's not that mobile. Make it where he can't step up in the pocket. Make him do the hot reads, sit on some of these routes. And they didn't do that. And it was just like, I mean, he want to run a 3-deep zone every time, and he got exploited. I mean, I'm not letting Dimper off the hook or Jameis Emerson, who is a rookie. Or Denzel Ward. Those guys have to communicate in that secondary. What did you think they was trying to do? You don't think they were trying to score? You don't think they were trying to get in the end zone? So you're just going to let a guy run right by you? And then the special teams coach is not off the hook either. We did not put a package out there together to recover that onside kick where the game would have been over. It looked elementary out there. We still having problems in late games, but I still got a lot of hope because everybody else in that division lost. and the Raven loss is the most compelling loss that I've seen. And then the Bengals, we don't know what's up with the Bengals. Tony called it. Tony said that the Bengals was going to be back to the Bengals. Tony called it. I will give you credit. Tony did call that because he said the Super Bowl hangover for the losing team is been historic. And Tony's completely right at this point. And so far, it's completely right. And then how long will Mitch Trubisky be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
NFL, not for long.
Not for long.
That's Jerry Glanville. Jody, as usual, great analysis on your Browns. This is kind of what Goodell wants. It's a week-to-week league.
Right.
We saw Dallas look pretty abysmal last week. Defense was good. We saw their offense show a little something. I'm not saying that they're I'm not saying that they're the Chargers. I'm not saying that they're the Rams, but they did the job. Okay. We saw a Ravens team come out on fire week 1. Week 2, still on fire, but the defense needs some work. Tony, let's talk about the Ravens real quick. Hopefully we can get Bill West on here at some point, maybe on Thursday, to talk about what happened with the defense, because Lamar Jackson did virtually everything that you could have asked from him. He led them in rushing. He led them in passing. It doesn't make sense.
Let me explain something to you. So with the talks that I had with Ray Lewis, and I used to always, it got me because I used to say the Ravens always beat the Patriots in New England in big games. And Tom Brady was undefeated in Baltimore. So I used to be like, well, how is that possible? Then I found out. Ray Lewis said the most important thing for a defense is communication. And when a defense is at home, they can't communicate because the crowd is too loud, trying to make sure the offense can't communicate. But in this era of football, the offense practice against loud sounds. They practice hand claps. They signal. The defense, they're not used to that. The defense is used to being able to turn around, yell out. If you ever watch a football game and listen to it, you can hear the defense yelling, move down, slide, go, pick up, drop. You can't hear that in a stadium when you're at home. And notice the 3 games where the teams came back and it was blown coverages. The Raiders were home, the Ravens were home, and the Browns were home.
No, the Ravens was on the road.
Ravens were on the road, Tony.
No, the Ravens.
It was Miami. They was in Miami.
They're in Miami.
They were home yesterday.
No, they was in Miami.
They're in Miami.
They were home yesterday.
I'm looking at it right now.
That was in Baltimore. What are y'all talking about?
That was Miami.
That was here. The Ravens were at home. The Raiders were at home.
Somebody double check that.
I'm checking it
now. You ain't got to double check. I'm right there at the stadium. The Ravens were at home. The Raiders were at home.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the third team? And the Browns were at home.
Tony, what about Hanson?
Yeah, the Ravens was at home.
That was a home game. Yeah. You were right, Tony.
So you ain't see all those Ravens.
Why do we ever doubt Tony? Why do we ever doubt Tony on anything?
You should have known where they were when they were scoring. You ain't hear that rat piss on cotton in that joint. Cotton in that joint. I was like, damn, that sounded like a rat peeing on cotton over there. It was quiet as a mug up in that joint.
Listen. Lamar Jackson did damn near everything but sell popcorn at halftime. I mean, he was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. But
amazing.
The defense. What's wrong with their defense? Talk to me. Not just the sound situation, but I'm looking at the defensive rankings. Okay. And it's only after 2 games. You got Dallas sitting around at 6. Okay. They give up about 300 yards a game. Okay. That's not bad. That's fine. That's a top 5, excellent. Top 6 type of defense. They're doing their job. But then when you look at the Ravens, I don't see how they can give up that many points. 6 passing touchdowns that's 2 games worth, Tony.
Listen, Dave, we got to throw out these rankings because last year the Buffalo Bills were supposed to be the best defense in the league, and Kansas City carved them to pieces.
Sure did.
Let's throw out all these statistical things when it comes down. it ain't really it's not the Raven defense. It was Tua Tagovailoa. He showed you that he's a premier quarterback in this league. Let's stop saying this man got to do this and got to do that. Let me give you a few stats, Dave.
Premier quarterback?
He's a premier quarterback. He's 15-8 as a starter, which is better than Joe Burrow, who was 12-15-1, which is better than Justin Herbert, who was 16-18 as a starter. The last 9 games, he is 8-1 as a starter. The last 9 games. This season alone, he has 739 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He's completing almost 72% of his passes. Why is it? Where did I lie about him being elite at? I'm confused.
You think that's elite to you? Okay.
First of all, he leads the NFL in touchdown passes. He's top 5 in completion percentage. That's not elite. He's top 5 in passing yards. That's not elite.
Wait a minute. How many touchdowns he got?
7.
Him and Mahomes must be tied.
They're tied.
They're tied.
Okay.
So he's still. That's not okay. What kind of company he's in there with? He's in company with Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, stop that. Because Wentz is also tied with them too.
Okay. It doesn't matter. Wentz,
you'll never hear it. You Redskins fans will never stop talking about it. And you know what? Good for them. I'm going to give him the Denzel clap. I'm going to give him the Denzel clap with Bertier getting on the bus.
We don't have to worry about Carson Wentz putting up numbers. We know that Carson Wentz puts up numbers. He had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions last season. So we know that he can put up numbers. But guess who's winning? Guess who's winning? Guess who's 2-0? Guess who is 8-1 in the last 9 games? He's 15-8 as a starter. Where did I lie at? I'm trying to figure out where I lied at.
You about to make me a believer. Stop doing that. Because then that means I agree with Cody. That means I would agree with Cody. Cody's been on the bandwagon for the Dolphins since training camp.
I'm on Tua's bandwagon because you don't tank for Tua and don't get the guy in there and don't think he can play football. This guy has been a winner since he's been in high school. So my thing is, I'm trying to figure out where I want anybody that's out here listening, go check Drew Brees' his numbers up to this point in his career and match him with Tua, and I bet you'll be surprised.
Yeah, because that would be the San Diego years. Mm-hmm. He would have, that would have been his time in San Diego before making the move out to New Orleans.
Exactly. So, yes, sir.
So we've talked about just the Ravens and the situation they're in. We've talked about the Browns. Let's shift gears a little bit. I said it was a week-to-week league. Last week, Washington fans were talking a lot of crap. They was talking a lot of crap about the Detroit Lions and how bad their franchise has been for 50 years. And Washington went in there, got off the plane at Detroit Wayne Airport, and walked in there. And that first half, they took a dirt nap. They got put down 22-0 in the first half.
It should have been 35-0.
It should have been 35. I went back and looked at the eye in the sky. The Lions left some plays out there. Here's what troubles me most about Washington right now. It's the up-down, okay? Washington needs to play at a consistently high level and do it for a long period of time in order to be successful, okay? And listen, the Cowboys have this problem. For some reason, the Eagles do not seem to have this problem. And even right now, hey, Tony, are the Giants 2-0?
Yes,
I think the Giants might be 2-0. Okay. So if you stay at a high level and you can maintain it consistently, you're going to win more games. But if you're just going up and down in the peaks and valleys, and one week you do this and you stick your finger in the dam to make sure that this hole doesn't sprout water, and then another hole over here sprouts water, and then you just end up with water on the floor. Tony, stop laughing at me. You know I ain't lying. But watching Washington fans melt down in the first half, their Twitter was a shambles. It was a shambles. When they went off that field, Washington fans was ready to put Heineke in. They was ready to put in Doug Williams. They was ready to call in Mark Griffin. They was going to get Riggo. They was calling for everybody. They was going to resuscitate Chief Z. Hey, man, rest in peace, Chief Z. They was trying to bring him back. It was an ugly situation. Now, the second half, Washington played a lot better. They put up 27 points in the second half. The only problem is Detroit put up another 16 and still won by 9. It was one of the oddest games that I'd ever seen. Now, quiet as kept. Jahan Dotson for the Commanders. He looks like the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like the genuine article. The kid is just making plays.
What round was he taken in?
Huh?
First round.
What round was he taken in? He's the
first
round.
So he should look like that.
A lot of people thought that Washington should have gotten something else and gone for a different spot. But seeing as how eventually they would end up with Carson Wentz, they did the right thing there. I like the pairing of those guys. I like the McLaurin thing. I like the Washington receivers. But everybody else is suspect. Washington's offensive line gave up, 6 sacks yesterday? Three of them to Aiden Hutchinson playing his second professional game. He was a first rounder out of Michigan, I think it was. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
3 sacks in game 2. Kid looked pretty good. All right. Let's see. Micah Parsons leads the league right now with 4 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson's a rookie. He's a pup, and he's got 3. So we're seeing these edge rushers, Tony. We've been talking about this. These guys that are coming off the edge, whether they're a D-end, whether they're an outside linebacker, doesn't matter. These guys coming off the edge are very, very skilled, and they're able to get to these quarterbacks because that's the evolution of this passing game. These quarterbacks getting the ball out and zipping it around to wide receivers. The next evolution is you got to get to the quarterback, and people are going to be starting to develop to the point where it's going to be harder and harder for quarterbacks to set up back in the pocket. But that falls into what you've been talking about, Tony. Quarterbacks have to be able to move. The fact that the Browns didn't make Joe Flacco move at all is a problem without Myles Garrett. If they were able to get Myles Garrett blocked, or they schemed it to where he was going away from Garrett, and moving him around in the pocket a little bit, made it a lot easier day for Joe Flacco. And Joe Flacco's old. So, Tony, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys, and then we'll get to the Monday night game.
Dave,
go ahead, Joe.
Before you go to the Cowboys, it's 2 things that I wanted to add. Detroit, they're looking like their head coach. They're looking like Dan Campbell. They're playing Midwestern, hard-nosed, steel company, car company, blue-collar football. They're executing, and I agree with Tony. The quarterback play was a little sketchy, but when has the quarterback play not really been sketchy with the Detroit Lions? But they're winning games, and they're winning tough. You got to think they only lost by 3 points to the Philadelphia Eagles. They only lost by 3 points. Though, if you hear a play here, a play there, they could have won that game. But I want to add this before, because I want to make Dave a believer. While we was talking, I went and looked at some numbers. So Drew Brees, in 42 games, the first 4 years, I didn't count his last season, he played 42 games. He was 21-21 with San Diego. He had 56 touchdowns and 38 interceptions, about 62% completion percentage. Tua Tagovailoa has played 23 games. He's 15-8 as a starter, 34 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and over 68 completion percentage.
Pretty good. No, these are good numbers.
Now he has weapons. Now he has 2 of the elite weapons that can take a 3-yard pass 70 yards. He has 2 guys that can make. He had 2 guys that had 11 catches. One of them had Tyreek Hill had 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. Waddle had 11 catches, 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's still got a heck of a tight end across the middle, and they're starting to really get the running game going. I'm not a Miami fan, but what Tua's doing, he needs to be respected. We have to understand history. Numbers don't lie, Tony. Tony, you told me this since I met you. Dave, you've been saying this since numbers do not lie. And where have I lied at? Where have I said a lie?
I think
he lied, you lie, but numbers don't lie.
Exactly. I haven't. So
look,
I just wanted
it's taken him a little while to get himself settled. He had the injury problem his first couple of years in the league. He did have a veteran quarterback over him. There was a little bit of a disconnect or a little bit of infighting between ownership, the general manager, and the coach as far as who was going to be the quarterback. Okay. And, Brian Flores had his idea of what happened, of what he wanted to do. The organization had its idea of what it wanted to do, and then obviously Brian Flores is gone. So that's part of what Tua's problem was. And I'll say this also. Remember when Steph Curry first got in the league? Everyone thought, nah, he's not going to be able to stay healthy. Once he was able to get himself healthy, everything else fell into place. Maybe something similar is here for Tua. If he can just stay healthy and stay on the field and lead his team, the best ability is availability. Could be
but
it.
Dave, who else started their career injured? His name is Matthew Stafford. Just won a Super Bowl last year. That's who started his career injured. He didn't.
That's
He
because
didn't
he was
play
in
a lot
Detroit.
of games. Yeah, when
That's
he was
because
in
he was
Detroit,
in Detroit.
you got to think. Tua, they was basically tanking and wasn't even trying to win football games, and they didn't put no talent around him. Now look what happens when you put talent around him. He feel like he's back at Alabama. He feel like his receivers are getting open by 2 and 3 yards in the NFL. If you can get a receiver to get 2 or 3 yards in separation, you're gonna throw for 72%. You're gonna complete 72%.
No, those are great numbers. Anything in the high 60s, low 70s, you're doing the job as quarterback because you've got to continue to be a fit. Oh Lord. Tony gonna put the. All right, Tony. All right, let's talk about Dallas. Okay,
we'll talk about Dallas, but hey, you know how ESPN say they stats are better than ours. The TD report stats are better than y'all's.
That's right. Tony, talk about the Dallas defense right now. What's going on? Why is it working?
First of all, let's run some real numbers here, since we like to talk about numbers.
I love it. Let's do it.
Joe Burrow, who finished second last year, second in the league, Super Bowl loser.
Yep.
Not second pick like the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. Okay. So you can't compare those two teams together. I don't give a shit if it was just 8 months ago. Joe Burrow and Tom Brady, arguably 2 of the top 7 quarterbacks in the league.
Yes, no question.
Okay, top 5, some people.
Top 7,
okay.
Top 7.
Dallas has held them total, both under 200 yards passing. Each has 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Each of them only had 1 touchdown drive.
It's pretty impressive.
36 points in 2 games with a raggedy offense.
That's impressive.
They really didn't get. They only got 1 half of an offense to support. First half of the Cincinnati game.
Yeah, they played some
8 quarters. They've only had 2 quarters of good offensive play. So 6 quarters, they've had the whole team, those 2 quarterbacks to that. Now,
well, Tom Brady had 212 yards passing.
He just made it over. He just made it over.
I'm looking at it right here.
You're right. He's right.
Passing. Or you got to take away for the sacks, don't you? What's the final number?
Okay. Well, all right.
Yeah, if you want to do that, then you're right. As a team.
Yeah. They got to take away from that.
You got to look at the rushing. You got to look at the rushing. No, that comes off the rushing yards, Tony.
No, it come off yards. It comes off the rushing.
No, it comes off your rushing. It doesn't come off the passing yards.
Yeah,
it come off your passing yards in the pro, and it come off rushing when you get a sack. Come off your rushing yards.
Come off your rushing yard.
Correct.
So, for what their defense has done with no offense, and I'm telling you, Dallas offense stink. It really stinks.
It's terrible.
But here's the thing that happened with Dallas. Sometimes bad things happen and allow you to do better things. Because they don't have Dak out there to highlight why they paid him the money, they got back to what they're supposed to do. Use Tony Pollard and use Zeke on the field at the same time. Run the ball, worry about running the ball, and just take what the defense give you. That's all they did. That was the only game, man. Their defense held them to 17 points. They held Tampa to 19 points. If you only give up 17 to 19 points a game, you're going to win 80 to 90% of the games in the NFL. Show me a game yesterday where somebody won the game scoring less than 17. Was there a game out there?
Well,
the Denver Broncos beat Denver 16-9.
Was that? That was
We had 14 games yesterday or 13 games yesterday. One team won scoring less than 17 points. So that means 9 out of every 10 games, if you're doing that the right way, maybe 8 because your offense is going to turn it over. I'll take those numbers. Compared to 2 years ago when Dallas defense was almost last in the league. Why? Terrible. Because that's coaching. And what you're not seeing, I'm not saying Dallas is going to do anything, but look at my book. It says Dallas ain't dead yet. Because this time last week, y'all had the Paul Bears.
I was burying y'all, man.
I
was burying Dallas. I thought y'all would go 0-6.
Bringing. That's what y'all were doing last week with Dallas.
Hold on. Tony.
Go ahead, Joe.
About Dallas, I didn't think they were dead because I'm going to tell you why. While I put it in our production meeting early today. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a historical defensive run as the 2 games. They have only given up 13 points. They've given up 13 points to 2 pretty decent offenses, being the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints. 2 teams that are picked to go pretty far in the playoffs in the NFC. They have given up 13 total points, which is 6.5 points per game. So let's start. So I'm not really mad at what Dallas couldn't do against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because could nobody at this point do anything. Now they have a tough test next week against Green Bay, but right now I want to give a lot of credit to Dallas because they were actually able to establish a run. They just didn't stick with it. Now they did the other day. I'm looking at the stats now. They ran the ball 27 times, only threw it 31 times. So they have a balanced attack, and that's how they beat the Bengals. And that's what they're going to have to do. Ezekiel Elliott had 15 carries. I think Ezekiel Elliott need to have 20 carries. I think Pollard had 9. I think Pollard need to go to about 13 to 14 carries a game. And I think Dallas have that formula. The way that Michael Parsons, we keep talking about Michael Parsons defensively. Can we give some love to Armstrong? Can we give some love to that young stud on the line? He had 2 sacks himself. We cannot just make it about Michael Parsons. He's winning one-on-ones, Tony. So if Armstrong and then that other young guy and Williams start to develop and start getting some pass rush, the Cowboys, like you just said, now we're not putting everything on Dak's shoulders, and now they're letting the game manifest itself. And I think the Cowboys can grind out victories. But the problem is they're going to grind out victories under Cooper Rush, and people going to think Cooper Rush is better than Dak Prescott. Then they're going to come back. Dak Prescott going to come back, and they're going to try to put the whole franchise on his back and then realize that he can't carry him.
Because they're listening to the outside noise.
They're listening to the noise. They're not evaluating talent. They're not evaluating talent the way that they evaluate talent. You see what I'm saying? I've always felt it's like playing that money ball. If you evaluate players that work for your system, you can get a guy, man, that guy played over here. He was a bum, but he plays for me in my system. He's a star. That's how the Bill Belichick's of the world. That's how those guys, the really guys that understand X's and O's and Jimmys and Joes and how a player will fit. You could look at an edge guy and say, man, he just holds an edge. He doesn't really attack. And some of these defensive schemes, they need a guy that will set an edge, literally, to where everyone else can flow to the ball. Guys that take, guys that will take on double teams and not give up 5 yards off of a double. Hey, man, we got to put 3 dudes on this guy to get him off the line. Once you commit to that, somebody else on the line, please make a play. Because ain't nobody there for you if you got 3-on-1. So you guys made some great points, man. I mean, Dallas's defense, it's bend but not break. Can they hold this type of production as a defense for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games or whenever Dak gets back? They've got to be able to also, as you guys said, push the football, run the football a little bit. Because if they don't, they just become a passing team. A pass-only team, or Kellen Moore becomes pass-happy. I think that's the one thing that we saw this week, guys. We saw a couple of big comebacks, where teams were down. Specifically talking about the Arizona game. Arizona goes down 17-zip. They were down 17-zip at the half to the Raiders. Huh?
And then it went to 20-0.
And then it went to 20-0 after half. So you go down 20-zip, and you're able to come back. Guys, what Kyler Murray did was nothing short of amazing. That was absolutely incredible, that comeback. To get the 6 to tie, and then to be able to get that 2-point conversion on the untimed down to push it to overtime.
That was a
That was
dime he
thrilling
threw.
football. Huh?
That was a dime he threw in the back of that end zone
Arm talent.
to an old receiver. That
He
was
got.
Green.
He
That was the
got.
boy from Cincinnati, wasn't it?
AJ
Yep.
Green. It was AJ
That was
Green.
AJ
AJ
Green.
Well, he had to
wait,
make
wait,
up for the drop. He had to make up
That
for the drop.
kid-
3 plays. He had to make up for the drop.
we had clowns talking about how Kyler Murray missed a hot. Every quarterback will miss a hot here and there based off of formation. But I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. Stop the narrative with black quarterbacks, and you're going to put that in his contract. Tommy, don't argue with me if you've never seen it in anybody else's contract, but then all of a sudden you put it in a black quarterback's contract, but then I'm tripping. I'm not tripping. You show me anybody else's contract that will put some film watch and all that crap in there. The guy knows how to play. See, here's the problem. What people don't get is that you have to be a football player. Don't tell me, because I'm not a prototypical type of quarterback or a prototypical type of running back. Parsons may not be a prototypical Mike linebacker, may not be a great weak side linebacker, but he's a football player. Give me 11 football players, and I will put them in positions that is suitable for our team to win a game.
Tony,
football players.
Tony,
That's
you know why?
And
I agree with you. And you know why you had to say that, Tony? It's because it's the era of specialization. So many college kids, college players get slotted into a scheme, into a system, to where nobody thinks that they can do anything else. But if you've got a guy that's, like you said, Tony, a football player, you can get a guy like a Darren Woodson that was playing linebacker in college and move him to safety. And he's pretty damn good at safety. You know, you can get guys that were playing safety in college and they can walk down and they can play linebacker full time.
That's what Jimmy Johnson did.
That's exactly what Jimmy Johnson did.
Linebackers to D-line and all his safeties, the linebackers in college. That's
right.
He had to come up with a scheme to stop the daggone option and
the wishbone. He changed how, what Jimmy Johnson did there by getting football players. Okay.
Football players.
He changed college football. He said, look, man, I'm not looking for a safety. I'm looking for a football player. This is what I tell when I see kids and we're out there, we're trying to play a sport. Look, man, I don't know what position you are. Do you want to play soccer? Do you want to play basketball? Do you want to play football at this rec level? Sometimes kids get it in their mind. Hey, coach, I'm a shooting guard. Hey, man, I need a basketball player. I need you to put a body on number 6 and guard him for 5 minutes so we can win this game. Are you a basketball player? Yes, coach. Get in there and go get him, kid. I like what you're saying, Tony. I feel you on that. And listen, it's all about the money in the NFL. These guys want to make the money, okay? But you can't make money if you're not on the field. You can't be on the field if you don't make plays. Football players make plays.
This is the thing, Dave, about Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Tom.
When I was going back and I was looking at, on TikTok and I was looking at all this stuff and they were
do it on your phone.
People having like showing where he doesn't study and circling where it's elementary where this guy didn't pick up the blitz package. Let me go ahead and tell y'all something about Kyler Murray. First of all, if they would have never put that type of language in his contract, nobody would ever mention him. They did that on purpose. They did that on purpose to make it where you can criticize. And once again, like y'all said, no athlete is above criticism.
I agree.
But let's go back and talk about Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, he's an undersized quarterback at 5'7". He never lost a high school game in Texas. He never lost a high school game. Never lost a game. I believe he had 3 to 4 state championships in Texas. So we're not talking about.
I think it was 3. I think it was 3.
We're talking about one of the top 5 football states in America. Probably 2 behind Florida. Maybe Florida, California will have some argument. Virginia and Ohio will have some arguments. But anyway, Texas is one of the top.
Texas is a top 3 state in high school football.
Right.
Period. Every year. 24/7. They like Denny's. We don't close.
And he never loses. He never loses a game. Now, mind you, the high school he went to had over 6,000 students. So we're not talking about no little single A or whatever you want to call it,
Nope.
wherever you from, in them small rural areas. No, we talking about big boy stuff. We talking about college.
Yeah, they play big boy football.
Well, they're high school football.
Yeah.
California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Ohio.
Virginia.
You can't forget about Virginia.
You can't forget about Virginia.
But Virginia, Maryland, and all them come behind when we talk about high school football.
Yeah.
We talk about in numbers.
Virginia got a lot of talent, boy.
Yeah,
they got some high steppers.
Talent,
they've had some high steppers in the state for years,
talent,
man.
But in numbers, those are all the ones who are putting out that massive talent that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, Kyler Murray, you were talking about Kyler Murray, right?
Yeah, and he gets to the collegiate level and he does nothing but wins the Heisman. He wins the Heisman. I think he might have lost 2 or 3 games in college, and he was the number 1 pick of the draft. Not to mention he was a baseball player. He could have went professional top round in baseball.
Well, he was drafted.
Yeah, he was
drafted. He was drafted top 10.
Didn't he win the Heisman?
Yeah, he won the Heisman.
He did.
He gets to the league, and he's a 2-time Pro Bowler in 4 years. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler in 4 years, and he's been a playoff quarterback.
I will go out on a limb and say he'll be a Pro Bowl quarterback again this year.
Absolutely.
Just going to say it, because it's going to be 3 out of 4 seasons. He's going to be a Pro Bowler.
Hey,
so
listen, man, all that narrative,
he can play.
They need to stop with that BS narrative,
folks.
So if you're talking about study time, I bet you Kyler Murray. And you know what? Even after that, y'all saw he called the second half of the last preseason game. He was the offensive coordinator. So I guess you didn't know what the hell he was talking about, where you can call the offense.
Hey, they need to let your boy Joe Burrow start calling some plays, man. He need to start I've been saying this since last year, Tony. I said, wait a minute. I've been saying this for 2 years. Joe Burrow need to take care of himself, man. It's getting dangerous out here.
He's getting murdered. He's on pace to be sacked literally over 100 times this season.
It's bad, dude. And I feel bad for my boy because y'all know that's my boy.
Nah, man. You need to get with his people. Tell them that we are pulling for him, man. I'm about to set up a prayer group. He's gonna get himself killed out there. I'm not lying.
That's what I'm saying. He's not gonna last past 6 games.
No.
Because if you look at anybody in the NFC North, everybody can rush the passer. By the time they play the Pittsburgh Steelers again, they'll have TJ Watt back. You play the Cleveland Browns, you got Myles Garrett who has 3 sacks. You go against the Ravens, you know the Ravens rush the passer. So you got a first place schedule, so you got to play Kansas City. They got Jones.
Who you say rush the passer? The Ravens?
The Ravens rush the passer.
They ain't do it yesterday.
They sure didn't.
Once again, because y'all keep saying it's the Ravens. Let's give the credit to Tua Tagovailoa. I'm gonna keep saying that.
First, you got to find that you got to find him first. Right. That joke ain't too big. You got to find him.
They did pick him off twice. Let's not leave that out. They still pick him off.
He'll put the ball out there. He'll give. I look at guys like Carson Wentz and guys like that. They'll throw some picks. I'm not going to say they're going to throw a ton of them. They will put the ball in spots where you can get to the football. They will throw into coverage. Okay, but the way that the NFL is now, the way that it's set up, a quarterback throwing an interception or even 2, it won't kill you. This isn't the NFL of the 80s or even the 90s. This is different. It's, the number of where a lead is insurmountable has risen over the years because they've allowed offenses, especially the wide receivers, to be able to play unfettered. You can't chuck them after 5 yards. You got the illegal contact penalties, holding penalties, and pass interference. It's harder and harder for defensive backs to play without being able to touch that wide receiver after 5 yards. And we all understand this. If you're playing a situation where you're the corner and you're in press, and your job is to get that jam and then pass him off, right? And you're not going to run with the receiver. If you miss the jam, that the guy behind you trying to rotate over is going to be late. Right. The jam is there to slow him down so that safety can get over there, or for the linebacker to get into his drop to make that throw tougher. So you can see just how the modern NFL, the way that defenses have to adapt As Tony says, adapt or die. They have to adapt in order to be able to make plays. Otherwise, we're going to start. Well, we're already seeing it. We're going to see scores 42-38, 45-40. You see what I'm saying? 52-40. And these games are not out of reach. 17 points isn't enough anymore. 22
Right.
points isn't enough anymore.
28 points ain't enough.
It's not
Ask
enough.
The Ravens. The Ravens
That's
was
the
up. They
Ravens.
was up
That's right.
35-7. They was up 35-7.
They should have put up. The Ravens needed to win that game comfortably. The Ravens needed to put up 49 to 56 points. And I mean that because
That's
at that
damn
point,
terrible.
But no, Tony, your defense has to be out on the field if that offense keeps scoring. Am I wrong?
This is the thing. Go back to what I've been saying. If you ran the ball and stopped the run, you wouldn't be out. You would take possessions away from quarterbacks.
Yeah, bleed that clock. Bleed the clock. I agree. Hey, Tony, we gonna get Tommy on? Can he get on, or is he's gonna bite?
Trying to get on. He talking about
Okay.
he don't have no lighting. I keep telling him to get an iPhone and get off them other phones, and you won't have to worry about that stuff. See, when you got an iPhone and you don't have a TV, that Samsung bullshit, then you be all right.
Before
Come on, Tommy, get on here, man.
Before we get to Tommy and before we get to the Monday night, can we talk a little bit about Trey Lance breaking his ankle and being out for the season for a minute?
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Trey Lance, he was already struggling, and Trey Lance breaks his ankle. He's out for the season. Now, this is just me thinking out loud, Tony and Dave. Jimmy G already had that locker room. Did you see how those guys were rallying behind Jimmy G when he scored a touchdown? When he came in the game, it's like a light bulb went off. Mm-hmm. Jimmy G has that locker room. It's going to be I'm thinking, this is just my prediction. I believe that the 49ers go about 11-6. They get into the playoffs and they make a deep run. You know, he has Aaron Rodgers' number in his back pocket. he do. I'm just putting it out there. He got his number in his back pocket. Jimmy G, the last 2 times he played him, he's 2-0 against Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Regardless how many passes he threw, he still won.
Let's talk about
I don't think Trey Lance gets his job back. I don't think he gets his job. I think that Jimmy G is going to force the 49ers to sign him long term, and they're going to trade Trey Lance.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Tony. See, here he goes. Tony,
stop
he goes. Tony, stop that. Stop that. Stop it.
Start calling him G Money.
You call him G Money.
G Money. That's all he there for is the money. He ain't
even making no money this year. He's only making $6.5 million this year.
Well, listen, he makes $250,000 for every game he gets more than 25% of the snaps.
Okay.
If they win, he gets $350.
So he just made $350 yesterday.
Oh yeah, I tell them to pay me in ones.
And you know he got everybody loves him. They think he's the most handsome guy on the planet. So. But
hey, wasn't he dating a porn star at one point? It's all good for Jimmy G. He good. He's straight.
Can I throw some out here? Can I throw some out, guys?
Yes.
This is not even counting, lad. This is not even counting yesterday because he wasn't the starting quarterback. He is 33-14 as a starter. And
can barely keep his and they trying to push him out.
I know that I get on here and I piss people off. Listen, I know I piss people off. But he's 33-14 as a starter, and he's 4-2 in the playoffs.
And he's been to a Super Bowl. He's won the NFC twice. Yep.
He's 2-1. I mean,
been to the NFC Championship game twice. Sorry.
Every year he goes to the playoffs.
Game twice. Yeah.
Listen, every year he goes to the playoffs, he's 2-1. So every season he's 2-1 in the playoffs. So I'm sitting up here and I'm scratching my head. He has one of the highest winning percentages as a starting quarterback. He has he's I don't understand what do y'all want out of him? He has 72 touchdowns. He has 72 touchdowns, only 38 interceptions. I'm confused.
If he was in Dallas, they'd make a statue to him.
No, we only make statues to people who win championships.
But Jimmy G, I'm confused on why Jimmy G, Tua Tagovailoa, these guys are being criticized and ostracized from the teams that they play for. It ain't doing nothing but winning.
Oh, no. Let's stop it right there. Okay. So, Jimmy G, when all things are equal, he did not make the biggest throws in his life in that Super Bowl. Okay.
At
So
some
when
point,
all
he's going to
things
get them
are
back there,
equal,
Tony. He
your
almost got
quarterback,
them back.
your quarterback has to win the game for you when all things are equal. He didn't make 2 throws. Mahomes made 2 throws, and there it goes.
Let me ask
3
you.
years later, they draft the first-round quarterback.
They could have had Michael Parsons with that pick. Just think of Michael Parsons on that 49er defense. You should have paid Jimmy G. You could have got another receiver on the other side of Deebo Samuels if y'all was thinking long-term for Jimmy G. But they didn't. Now, you saying he didn't make the throw. Who did he lose to, Tony? Who did he lose to in the Super Bowl?
Kansas City.
He lost to Patrick Mahomes, probably one of the best quarterbacks that we ever seen.
Mahomes magic.
Who did he lose to in the playoffs? Matthew Stafford, a guy that we think is one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. And if
it was Matthew's year. It was Matt Stafford's year.
It was just his year. Yeah. Because if they get that interception that they were supposed to get that was right in his hands, we're talking about Jimmy G as a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Stop it.
No, they wouldn't. I'll tell you this. If they had gone to the Super Bowl, they wouldn't have beat the Bengals.
They beat the Bengals early that year.
They wouldn't have beat them in the Super Bowl.
I think they would have.
I thought the Bengals would have beat them. The Bengals, it was tantalizingly how close they got to winning that Super Bowl. The Bengals played a lot better than I thought they were going to.
They had a lead with 4 minutes to go in the game.
Should have won it.
You got to think about it. The 49ers would have been able to run the ball in that Super Bowl. The Rams couldn't. The Rams could not run the football. The 49ers would have ran the football. Deebo Samuels would have put his stamp on that game. Y'all got to understand, the 49ers can rush. They got a guy named Nick Bosa. They can rush the passer too.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You're right.
That's a good point. But as good as Bosa is, he ain't Aaron Donald.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. He's not nowhere. Yeah. But Nick Bosa is not even just Nick Bosa.
I think they could get him blocked.
They got Armstead. They had Armstead. They had Fred Warner, one of the premier linebackers in the NFL. They had a nice front seven.
So we can't talk about wouldas, couldas, and shouldas. True. But what we just saw was an excellent move by management to keep Jimmy G and keep him in position, and it allowed them to save their season. And if they're lucky, they may even, like Jody said, they may even go Super Bowl. This is the reason why good management will lead you always to winning games. Had they been Dallas, we would have traded them for a damn cheerleader, and we'd still be here playing with Cooper Kupp as quarterback and somebody else. And I'm not messing with you. Management is terrible. So that right there shows you it's a difference.
Honestly,
management makes a difference.
You're right, 100%. They didn't panic.
Whatever.
They didn't panic.
Made the right move, and that's chess. That's chess. They knew that at some point that backup quarterback may be right there what you need.
They need to put some respect on Jimmy G, though, man. They need to put some respect on his name.
It's getting kind of embarrassing at this point.
Listen, when they start putting some respect on some of these quarterbacks, like Kyler Murray and all the rest of the crew, then we will put some respect on Jimmy G.
Kyler got his money, so he's got the respect, at least on the paycheck. He's got the paycheck.
I'm going to tell you who gets disrespected is Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson right now, he should have a deal. I don't understand why he doesn't have a deal. The fully guaranteed, here's the problem. The Ravens, this is the thing about the Ravens management. Ravens management's very similar to Pittsburgh. There's certain things that their management won't do, okay? They're not going to do this because if you can't do it for one, you have to do it for some. And if you do it for some, you have to do it for all. You can't fully guarantee all those contracts. They're not going to fully guarantee out. They're not going to what?
I have something with that, and it goes by this. Jimmy Johnson. They asked them what happens if a player falls asleep in the meet. Jimmy Johnson said he cutting him. Then they asked what happened if Troy Aikman falls asleep in the meet. He gonna ask him what kind of pillow do you want. You can't.
That's true.
I mean, you can't treat everybody equal.
He said he would come over and put his hand on his shoulder, saying, "Now, Troy, I need you to wake up because this is important."
Yeah,
but this is another disrespect, and I understand what Dave's saying about how the Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers do things.
That's how they do business.
We never had a problem with Ben getting his money in Pittsburgh. We never had a problem with Tom getting his money in New England. We never had a problem with Peyton Manning getting his money in either Indianapolis or Denver. So why do we have a problem with Lamar Jackson, who is showing that he can still run the ball? Remember they said he couldn't run the ball, had 100 yards rushing. Remember they said he couldn't throw the ball? This man is on fire. This man is on absolute fire.
300 yards passing.
He's on fire.
He looked great. He looked great. His accuracy is a lot better. His accuracy is a lot better. He's making the throws. He's making the reads. You know, that was kind of a fluke of a loss, you know, in that regard. Just a great individual effort, great team effort by Miami and Tua Tagovailoa. Great. Just give them their propers.
Tua.
That said, Lamar Jackson did his job. What's that?
I think Lamar Jackson is on pace for 5,000 yards passing and 1,100 yards.
No, about four. He'll go about $4,000 easy.
Well, how many yards does he pass for this year, Jody?
I got you. Give me a second.
Like 600, something like that.
If it's 300 yards a game times 17 games,
he has 531 yards passing, 6 touchdowns and only 1 interception.
Wait a minute, 531. What do you say? Yards passing, right?
531 yards passing.
Okay, times 17, he will equal up at 4,500 yards passing. How many yards rushing does he have right now?
He only has a little bit over 130 yards rushing.
He had 120 yesterday.
130.
Yeah, 120. So he had 137 yards rushing. By
2 equals 65 times 17 is 1,100 yards rushing and 4,500 yards passing. And you talking about money? What we talking about here?
He's going to blow.
If he did that, that'd be one of the greatest individual seasons ever at quarterback.
He already did it.
Yeah.
Pull up his 2019 season, Jody.
Yeah.
He led the league in rushing as a quarterback and led the league rushing touchdowns, and passing touchdowns.
He had 3,100 yards passing, 36 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions.
That was a monster season.
And rushing the ball, he had rushing the ball. Hold on, this is running the ball. He had 1,200 yards rushing.
God damn, 1,200.
1,206 yards.
We talking.
And he followed it up with another 1,000-yard season after that.
Listen, if you're a running back and you can average 1,100 to 1,200 yards a season in today's NFL, you have a job forever. You have a job forever.
He averaged 7 yards a carry.
Shit. What we talking Excuse about? My French, everybody. Those numbers are just filthy, man. You know what? I'm going to change my tune. Hey, Steve Bisciotti, pay that man his money. Teddy KGB, pay that man his money. Yeah, pay that man his money.
I'm glad everything happened yesterday because now you see it's the defense and them clowns can't cover nobody. And when you got to score 35, 38 points to win a damn game and you still lose, you have bigger problems than the quarterback.
I agree. John Harbaugh's got to fix that defense. I think he's a good coach. I think he's one of those guys that when something's wrong, he's going to figure it out. Let's talk about Mike Tomlin real quick. What happened to Pittsburgh? New England takes out Pittsburgh. What was it, 17-14? Something like that. What happened?
2 words.
Mitch Trubisky.
You know what? It's not just Mitch Trubisky. I don't think he should be the starting quarterback. I already thought it should have been Kenny Pickett from the outset, but they're going to ride with him, and I'm glad they are in this short week against Cleveland. Hopefully we can make something happen. But the offensive line cannot block me right now. The offensive line is not getting any room for Najee Harris to get any room in any creases. He's averaging under 3 yards per carry as a rusher, and you're not going to win games like that. That's Pittsburgh football, and they're protecting they're doing great pass protection, but they can't run the football. And I don't think he's not Big Ben. He's more mobile, but Big Ben knew where those guys were going to be at. I don't think he had enough time with these receiving core to really get the ball to him. I think that's why I said you go with. I think you should have scratched this season, went with Kenny Pickett, and just develop his confidence. Because at some point you got to put him in the lineup.
Let's see what else. Let's see what else Mike Tomlin can come up with. Defense is looking good. The defense doesn't look too bad to me. Pittsburgh defense looks solid, even without T.J. Watt. They only gave up 17 points.
New England is not a powerhouse offensively. They don't have a receiver that you can even. They got Myers and they got Hunter Henry at tight end.
Their offense doesn't scare me at all.
They got a defensive coordinator calling offensive plays.
Well, all I can say is Pittsburgh, we're going to see. Let's talk about Pittsburgh about 6 games into the season, because I think you get that first, quarter of the season, you start trying to figure out what you're going to be doing game 4, game 5. And then we're going to see a lot of teams determine whether they're going to cut bait, whether they're going to put in that rookie, are they going to hole up, try to not make the playoffs and try to, increase their draft stock. I just don't know what's going to happen in Pittsburgh. Obviously, we're always pulling for Pittsburgh, always pulling for Mike Tomlin. Is this going to be the season where he doesn't have a winning season? Because I don't see a pathway to him to a winning season. Not in that division.
That Browns game on Thursday night, that is the first important game in that division. That game is going to set the tone for one of those two franchises. And Cleveland, coming from what they're going to come to, Jody, go ahead and talk about it. Tell me what you expect.
What I expect Thursday night is a motivated secondary. You pay Denzel Ward over $100 million. And I think if Joe Woods, evidently he still has his job. You read that he still has his freaking job. We got to run a lot of more man coverage. We got 2 of the premier man cover corners and Greg Newsome II and Denzel Ward. We got to run a lot more man packages. We need to blitz more. What we got to understand is Cleveland blitz only like 7% of that game. So it's basically like shooting fish in a barrel for a quarterback like Joe Flacco, who is a statue. You never made Joe Flacco uncomfortable. So what we're going to have to do, which we fare better against mobile quarterbacks like a Mitch Trubisky, where they're going to try to roll him out the pocket. That's what we want, because we have so much speed on the perimeter. We want him to get out on the edges, because that's going to let Myles Garrett tattoo him. And that's what we want. So I think if we can, because we did pretty good against the run. If you look at it, Cleveland has been good the first 2 weeks against the run. We held McCaffrey, who was a premier running back in this league, 34 yards rushing. And yesterday,
y'all bullied him. Y'all bullied him. Yeah.
We gave him only about 60 yards as a team. So the running game, which that's what they're going to hang their hat on, and we can do that and keep it low scoring. And Nick Chubb had 3 touchdowns. Let's not. Nick Chubb was playing some football. And people are trying to blame Nick Chubb for scoring too early. I'm like, how do you get mad at a person for scoring too early? Like,
man, I hate that.
But a minute 22, man, I ain't listening.
Come on, man. Get that point. Get them points. No, I agree.
The defense didn't do their job. And if we go back, if we run some man coverage, and blitz a little more, let Denzel earn his money. Run those one single high safety, make the guy beat us outside the numbers. And I think Cleveland can win that game 24-17.
Hey, guys, I've got to jump off real quick. Can y'all finish up for me? Got to take care of something around the house real quick.
Go ahead.
7-7 in the early game right now. Tennessee.
Oh, it's already okay.
Yeah.
But Dave, go ahead. We see you
appreciate y'all. I'll hit y'all later. Hey, man, thanks for joining the show. I'm going to jump off. Stay here with Tony and Jody as they finish us up here, and we're going to be back on Thursday.
Yes, sir. Hey, Jody, look, let's talk about your division. How it was disappointing, but everybody lost. So that's it's like nothing happened, and that's how you have to actually look at it. It's like nothing happened yesterday, which is amazing.
You know what? I think a lot of character is built in losses. It's what the week 3 and who is going to respond. Who's going to respond? We know what Mike Tomlin's going to do with his Pittsburgh Steelers team, because he's never had a losing season. What is Zach Taylor going to do in Cincinnati? That's the question. You 0-2. You actually have been 0-2 3 out of 4 seasons as being the head coach. Only year he wasn't 0-2 was last year. Do you know that? So Zach Taylor, he went to the Super Bowl. but he gets lumped in with the Brandon Staley's of the world because of this innovative new coaching staff. You see that your quarterback has taken a beating so far, and Joe Mixon is not in the mix. No pun intended. So they got to establish a running game. So we know about the Baltimore Ravens. We know offensively they can score points. They'll get it together defensively as the weather changes because sometimes their defense is built for cold weather. So don't think that Baltimore can't play defense just because Tua. You got to think Tua has two premier wide receivers. You got to think both of those receivers had over 100 catches last year.
Waddle.
The Waddle. But we got to put some respect on that. He got two receivers that had 100. Name a quarterback that go into the season having two receivers that had over 100 catches. I'll wait.
Yeah, the closest would have probably been LA. No,
not even close. So you got two receivers that had 1,000 yards and 100 catches the year prior and 5+ touchdowns apiece. So and then you got a solid tight end that had over 700 yards receiving. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you got a really good offense. You got a real good offensive mind. Their head coach is a real good offensive mind. He's from Yale. He's a Yale grad. So he's extremely smart. So I'm not going to put too much on what the Ravens lost. And Harbaugh is a Super Bowl winning coach. I mean, he's resilient. The one I'm scared about is Cleveland. Stefanski. How can he rebound from the collapse that he had? Are you going to start looking at the defense side of the ball, maybe calling some plays defensively? Or are you looking to bring somebody in and call some plays? And then let's not forget, those guys have to start making plays, Tony. Those guys the defensive guys, you can't wait for Myles Garrett to make a play every game. It's got to be somebody else. One of them, Anthony Walker, we brought Anthony Walker in for Indianapolis. He needs to start making some plays. The JOK, Jeremiah Owuzu Kamara, he's a stud. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl this year, but I need to see him make a little bit more play. He made some great plays the past 2 weeks, but he's no Michael Parsons. He's no Michael Parsons, man. We need to start letting him rush the passer a little bit more so he can show his skill set. So the division is going to be just fine. Don't let 1 week. It's 15 more games, man.
But if you picked any week, that was a good week for everyone, so that we've covered all the excitement that happened in week 2. Now, let me set for the night is Tennessee Titans, the old number 1 seed from last year, versus everybody's favorite number 1.
Not my favorite. Not
in
my favorite.
NFC this year. We're going by Vegas standards. On the other side is the Philadelphia Eagles playing against the Minnesota Vikings. Those are common copy teams to me. They always good enough, but never really get over the hump. Other than the 1 year that Philly got to the Super Bowl, Minnesota and Philly, their franchises are always good, like a good old peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it ain't, it ain't what you're going to eat at a sit-down dinner, but it will hunger pain. That's what I call it. When you're just an average Joe, you're a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I mean,
right.
It'll stop you. It'll kill the hunger pain, but it ain't nothing that you're going to be writing home to mama about.
Right.
That's them. And I think that's both teams again this year. I think even Philly. Now, tell you the truth, Minnesota and Philly could both win the division. They could both be winners of the division. But I don't see both of those teams playing anymore. Now, they played 4 years ago for the conference championship, but I don't see both of them doing that because they have a better defense in their divisions than their defense. And technically, they would have better offense in their divisions, but both Green Bay and Dallas got rid of their number 1 receivers. So that actually helped Philly and Philly and Minnesota. So it looked like the same team to me. What do you think tonight?
Now, tonight, I'm going to go with the Buffalo and Tennessee game. I can see Tennessee pulling this game out for the simple fact that Derrick Henry is running the football, and that's what I think the Achilles heel on the Buffalo Bills defense is up the middle. Even though they got Ed Oliver, I don't feel like they can stop the run consistently. And I believe that Cody has said that he doesn't like Buffalo because they don't have a good enough running game. I'm looking right now, there's a 3rd and 1 and they still throwing the ball, or they running design run for Josh Allen.
And that throw Josh Allen made was a throw that anybody in high school could have. He's had like 3-4 throws like that tonight. But look like Josh Allen running more than Lamar Jackson.
And that's the problem. They're probably gonna run the ball on this 4th and 1, and that's the problem. I don't think, just like we keep saying that, like Trey Lance broke his ankle. I hope and I pray. I don't like to see any player get injured.
Yeah.
But if Josh Allen keep running at this clip, and everybody say, "Oh, he's big, he's bigger." Man, Ben Roethlisberger got hurt before, and Big Ben was a big guy. So I just don't like the hits that Josh Allen is taking. And I think if Josh Allen goes down, they definitely will be a mediocre.
Oh, they done.
So, but I like Tennessee in this game. But I can see if Tennessee loses this game, you got to understand they'll be 0-2, and then they'll be looking for the backup quarterback and Malik Willis to get in very soon. So that's what I got against Buffalo. I mean, the Buffalo-Tennessee game.
So what do you have for Philly game? Who do you like?
The Philly game, I really like what Minnesota's doing offensively. And I think Cousins will make more plays than Jalen Hurts because of Justin Jefferson, who I believe is probably the best wide receiver in football right now. Like I said, every 2 to 3 years, wide receivers change the mental at who's the best receiver. They change the mental on who's the best running back, and they change the mental on who's the best cornerback. And right now, it's Justin Jefferson turned in his 3rd year. He's done something that no receiver in NFL history has done. He's on pace to break Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, whoever records. He's on pace to break those records. And I see him having about 1,500 to 1,600 yards receiving with about 105 to 108 catches this season. And he's going to have about 12 touchdowns. He already has 2 already on.
He got Cooper Kupp numbers.
Yeah, and I mean, Cooper Kupp is still going to do his thing. But I just think that Justin Jefferson is going to show why he's in the best receiver in the game. It's going to be a high-scoring affair. I see the game being like 34-24, and I like Minnesota in that one. And it's going to be because of Cook going to be able to run the ball.
Road teams tonight. You took 2 road teams tonight.
I did take 2 road teams, but once again, if you look at Philly in week 1 against the Detroit Lions, everybody watched film in the NFL, and they're going to see how Swift was able to run the ball consistently against them. Cook is a better running back than Swift, and I like Swift as a running back, but Cook is a little bit better than him. I think they will give him the ball 22, 25 times, and he'll touch the ball 3 to 4 times in the passing game. I like Minnesota in that game.
Okay, so Jody, please tell everybody, what did you do on Saturday?
Oh,
everybody, what did you do on Saturday?
Yeah, I was out at Notre Dame against Cal in the press box and was covering it for the TD report as well as 4.0 media, and we were able to just write on the game, put the article out for the game. It was an amazing experience. They treated us really well. Was able to see it from that perspective. I've never seen a game from that perspective where I can see every play, every down, every play call from the coaches. It was just an absolutely amazing experience. I can't wait to do another. I'm hoping I get this Ohio State-Wisconsin game this weekend, but I haven't got any.
Tell us, is it everything that they talked about?
Listen, Notre Dame is an absolutely amazing campus. It's amazing fan base. Their fan base, they didn't have an empty seat in the house. They did not have, they get loud there. That's a very loud stadium. And I think they're one of them colleges where everything in the city shuts down just for that game. I think
did you touchdown Jesus?
Yeah, the touchdown. Listen, I think everybody that's a citizen of South Bend was on that campus to watch that game. They just have an amazing type of atmosphere for football, for college football. It's a great football town. Mm-hmm. And I think
Jody?
Hold on.
Yeah. Okay.
Notre Dame struggled in that game, and I was pleasantly pleased to see my guy Marcus Freeman get his first win. He was able to get his first win. That was amazing.
You were in the house. You're from Dayton, Ohio, and Marcus Freeman's from Dayton, and you were there to be able to see his first win. Please, that's pretty big right there. If I were you, I would write him something, write him a note, tell him you were in the house.
Right.
Marvin Chambers, we thank you, brother. 4.0 Media, you're doing your thing. We support you. Man, we're gonna be able to wrap this up. We wanted to take up to game time, which is normal game time. Tonight they hit us with a double dip.
Right.
was supposed to be last week, but the NFL something was the schedule, so they made it week 2, where they did the double dip on Monday night. We'll be back on Thursday. We're gonna give you an update on some of the fantasy. We want to try to give you an update on some of this quarterback stuff when we get Dev. We also want to talk to you about some of the defenses, especially Washington defense. They're giving up 30 points a game, almost 29 points a game. You're not beating nobody at 29 points a game.
Right.
You think about it. They're giving up 29 points a game to the team who picked first and the team who picked second. That's
Woo.
so you don't want to talk about what you would give to the team who finished first and the team who finished second. It's a different NFL's different structure here, folks. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's cause for concern in them. Now, what is a good thing is that the Giants are doing their thing. The
2-0.
are balling on defense. Daniel Jones is scrub. Sorry. But the Giants defense, they play Dallas this time next week. So we're going to kind of find out where they are. And Philly plays Washington next week. So we're about to find out in the division who's about it. If I had to think about it, I think the teams with the best defense, Philly and Dallas, both are on the road, and I think both will win next week. And then there will be a fight for that. So it's good that the Giants start out 2-0. You got to give them credit. They're doing a good job. They beat Tennessee at Tennessee. Then they beat a tough Carolina team yesterday. So, these divisions are going to be hot. The disappointing teams to me are the Colts, the Bengals, and the Raiders. They all 0-2, and it seemed like they're having problems meshing. Who are your disappointments of the year so far?
Man, my disappointments of the year is, the Raiders. The Raiders are definitely number one on my list. I'm really, even though they won yesterday, I'm really disappointed in the Green Bay Packers right now. They beat a very subpar Chicago Bears team last night, but I think I expected a little bit more out of Green Bay. And the Carolina Panthers, I really thought that Baker Mayfield was going to be able to get down there and make some plays, and he's trying, but he is yet to hit over. He's yet to get that win down there. So it's starting to make it look like the Cleveland Browns were right to get rid of him. So, hopefully he can right the ship. I am a fan of Baker Mayfield because he does so much for the Browns, but right now he's struggling. He got weapons. He got weapons down there. So that's one of my biggest. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. The Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts are completely they're a train wreck as of right now. Matt Ryan looks like he needs to retire. It looks really bad. They're 0-1-1, and they lost. They got shut out by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they tied with the Houston Texans. So that might be my biggest surprise, even over Oakland. At least Vegas had lost to a playoff team. They lost, basically 2 potential playoff teams. But you get shut out by the Jacksonville Jaguars, somebody might get fired.
Somebody might be losing their job. So, folks, we thank you for coming with us this week. On this Monday, it was an action-packed weekend. It was some great games this weekend. You saw Dallas rise like the damn Phoenix. Hey man, they're not dead yet, man. So I always have to put this up right here to let people know our boys ain't dead yet, because y'all had the pallbearers, y'all had the person I saw the person writing the eulogy. I heard the choir was warming up in the background.
But the fat lady wasn't there though.
They ordered the flowers and they had the slow music playing. So I was like, man, I looked around and I was like, man, I know I make jokes about Dallas. And I said, my biggest joke is, I said, man, I called Jerry Jones up and I said, hey man, I'm writing out my will and everything. And I said, I want to make sure I get 6 Cowboys to be my pallbearers so they can let me down one more time. And that was putting that in my will. But that's what we were doing to them. Yeah. Y'all dead.
Yeah.
And when you do that to a team, you better watch out now.
It's a week-to-week league.
Got the best defensive player in the league on their team.
I can agree right now with TJ Watt being hurt. I still think it's Aaron Donald. No disrespect. I still think it's Aaron Donald. But Michael Parsons definitely top 3. You know, I like Myles Garrett still. But, yeah, he's up there.
And we talked about Diggs.
Diggs playing lockdown.
Catches, a touchdown, and like 40 yards or some shit in 2 games. And everybody want to talk. See, people need to stop all this stuff. He's a football player who so happened to be a good wide receiver. He's a better than average corner, and he still learned how to play the position. But damn, he's doing well because he is a football player. Look at Dallas' best guys on defense. Diggs, Parsons. They are football players. You can put them in a couple other positions now. Diggs will play safety if you ask them to.
But you know what with Diggs is he's actually having a better season this year than he did last year, because last year everybody was, he had 11 interceptions. But this year I think he's playing the ball better. He's not gambling so much. So
Yeah.
I think he's gonna have only about 3 to 4 interceptions, but he's not gonna give up many yards like he did last year. And let's take our hat off to Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown has been playing some good football at cornerback too.
Yeah, yes. You gotta give him credit. But you know, this is a long season. And I always say this: there are no Super Bowls in September. You need to tell people that and get it in. There are no Super Bowls in September. Last week, I heard people calling up Hotwire trying to get their reservations to Arizona. For one game. You should have heard these fools down here in D.C. Man, oh Lord Jesus, we going Super Bowl. I said, man, you beat the worst team in the league who just picked first.
Listen,
said, the Redskins' schedule was so terrible. The first game, they gave them the team who finished first.
right.
Last. Then they give second game, they gave them the team who finished second to last.
And they still lost one of them. I'm gonna put it like this, and I gotta go, but I want, because we on the TD report. It's a guy that plays, and I'm really high on this D tackle for the Tennessee Titans. His name is Simmons. I'm sorry, Jeffrey Simmons. I want people to really pay attention to this guy. He's going to be all pro D tackle this season. He's already been a 2-time Pro Bowler. A lot of people don't know who he is. Everybody know who Aaron Donald and Fletcher Cox is, but this man in the middle for the Tennessee Titans is a grown man. He's going to be a household name. So you heard it here first.
I got switched between the game. Hey, folks, but make sure you follow Jody on TikTok, Jody Coleman on TikTok. Make sure you follow my man here. Thank y'all for coming. We'll see you Thursday. And I'll probably be coming from Blacksburg. I'm not sure. But Jody's going to be in Cleveland because they play a big game against Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
Loser of that game, it may be time to panic because, hey, man, that division, every game counts.
It's about to go down.
All right, brother.
So I'll see you.
Jody. Hit you up, man.
Peace.